The first time I saw my boss cry, she was standing alone in the middle of a brightly lit ballroom, surrounded by music, laughter, and hundreds of dancing people, yet looking more abandoned than anyone I had ever met. Her trembling hands clutched the edge of her dress as tears rolled silently down her cheeks. Then she looked at me, a man she had barely trusted for an entire year, and whispered words that changed both our lives forever. Before we begin, take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who still believes kindness can heal broken hearts, and subscribe to A Journey of Hearts if you believe everyone deserves a second chance, no matter how deeply they have been hurt. My name is Corin Vale, and until that night, I believed some people simply chose to be cold. I was 28 years old, working as a project coordinator at a successful architecture firm located in the heart of the city. The company had a reputation for excellence, innovation, and impossible deadlines. But people rarely spoke about our founder and director, Seraphine Morreau, without lowering their voices. She was 36, brilliant, elegant, and terrifying. Employees called her the Ice Queen behind her back. She never smiled. She never attended office celebrations. She rarely accepted compliments and almost never thanked anyone. People resigned because they couldn't handle her strict expectations. Some said she enjoyed watching others fail. Others believed she simply hated people. I believed those rumors too. During my first month at the company, I accidentally submitted a presentation with an incorrect measurement. It was a minor mistake, one that could easily have been fixed in minutes. She called me into her office. Her office overlooked the river, but she never seemed interested in the view. She sat behind her desk with perfect posture and unreadable eyes. She didn't shout. She didn't insult me. She simply stared at the mistake, then looked at me. The disappointment in her eyes felt worse than anger. For several seconds, silence filled the room. Then she told me that architecture wasn't merely about buildings. It was about families investing their savings, children growing up in safe homes, elderly couples spending their final years in comfort, and communities trusting strangers to create places where memories would be made. She said carelessness could destroy trust. Then she dismissed me. I walked out feeling humiliated. For months afterward, I avoided speaking to her whenever possible. Everyone did. Our office functioned like a machine. People arrived early. They worked hard. They left quietly. And Seraphine remained distant. Yet strange details slowly began to change my opinion. She always arrived before sunrise. She stayed long after everyone else had gone home. Sometimes, while collecting forgotten files, I noticed a small framed photograph hidden behind stacks of blueprints. It showed a smiling little girl with curly hair. Another picture showed an elderly woman sitting beside Seraphine in a garden. But no one knew who they were. One rainy evening, nearly a year after joining the company, I returned to the office because I had forgotten my laptop charger. The building was almost empty. As I approached Seraphine's office, I heard something unexpected. Soft music. Piano music. Gentle and melancholic. The door was slightly open. Inside, Seraphine was sitting on the floor. Not behind her desk. Not reviewing documents. Just sitting on the carpet beside the window. Her shoulders were shaking. She was crying. I immediately stepped back. I felt guilty for seeing something so private. But before I could leave, she noticed me. For a brief moment, fear flashed across her face. Not embarrassment. Fear. As though being seen vulnerable was dangerous. She quickly wiped her tears and stood up. She apologized for staying late and asked whether I needed anything. I explained about the charger. She nodded. Then she surprised me. She asked if I had ever lost someone important. The question caught me off guard. I told her about my father. He had passed away when I was 16. For years afterward, my mother worked 2 jobs to support us. Loss was familiar to me. Seraphine listened quietly. Then she thanked me. It was the first time she had ever thanked me. After that evening, small conversations began appearing between us. Nothing dramatic. Nothing personal. At least not initially. She asked whether I had eaten lunch. I asked if she ever rested. She told me work distracted her. I told her exhaustion eventually catches everyone. Sometimes she almost smiled. Almost. One afternoon, while reviewing designs together, a child ran into the office. She couldn't have been older than 8. She hugged Seraphine tightly. And for the first time, I saw warmth in my boss's eyes. Pure warmth. The little girl introduced herself as Solène. She was Seraphine's niece. Later that day, Seraphine explained that her younger sister had died in a car accident 5 years earlier. Since then, she had become Solène's guardian. The elderly woman in the photograph had been her mother. She had died from cancer only 8 months after her daughter passed away. Within a single year, Seraphine lost almost everyone she loved. Her father had abandoned the family long ago. She was alone. Completely alone. Except for Solène. Suddenly everything made sense. Her distance. Her perfectionism. Her inability to trust people. Pain had built walls around her heart. And those walls had become her identity. Months passed. Our friendship deepened carefully. Sometimes I helped Solène with homework while Seraphine finished meetings. Occasionally we shared coffee in silence. She admitted she hadn't celebrated her birthday in years. She hadn't gone on vacation. She avoided social gatherings. Crowds made her anxious. Music reminded her of happier times she could never recover. Then an invitation arrived. The city's annual charity gala. Attendance was important because our company was sponsoring a housing project. Seraphine intended to decline. As usual. But Solène begged her to go. She said adults deserved happiness too. Eventually Seraphine agreed. Only because Solène promised to stop asking. The evening of the gala arrived. It was a beautiful sunny day. Golden light spilled across the streets as people gathered outside luxury hotels and restaurants. By sunset, the ballroom sparkled beneath crystal chandeliers. Women wore elegant dresses. Men wore tailored suits. Music floated through the air. People laughed. Danced. Celebrated. Seraphine arrived wearing a dark blue gown. She looked breathtaking. Yet she seemed uncomfortable. Her hands remained clasped together. She stayed near the walls. Avoiding everyone. Several guests approached her. She answered politely. Then retreated again. Hours passed. The atmosphere became livelier. Couples moved gracefully across the dance floor. Then the band began playing an old song. A waltz. Seraphine suddenly froze. Color disappeared from her face. I approached her. She whispered that her mother loved that song. They danced together every year during family gatherings. Her sister loved it too. The memories overwhelmed her. She looked trapped between the present and the past. People continued dancing. No one noticed her struggle. Except me. Without thinking, I extended my hand. I told her she didn't have to dance perfectly. She didn't even have to remember the steps. She only needed to keep moving. At first she refused. She said she was afraid. Afraid of remembering. Afraid of feeling. Afraid that if she allowed herself one moment of happiness, she would betray the people she had lost. I told her grief doesn't disappear because we stop living. It only grows heavier. And maybe dancing wasn't forgetting. Maybe dancing was carrying those memories forward. She stared at my hand for several seconds. Then she accepted it. Slowly. Tentatively. We stepped onto the dance floor. The music surrounded us. At first her movements were stiff. Uncertain. Her eyes remained fixed downward. But gradually she relaxed. She began following the rhythm. Her breathing steadied. For the first time in years, she smiled. A genuine smile. Beautiful and fragile. Then tears appeared. She wasn't crying because she was sad. She was crying because she remembered what joy once felt like. People around us disappeared. The ballroom faded away. Only the music remained. And two people carrying invisible scars. Halfway through the dance, Seraphine gripped my hand tightly. Her voice trembled. She confessed she had spent years pushing everyone away because everyone she loved eventually disappeared. She believed attachment invited suffering. She expected employees to leave. Friends to drift away. Relationships to fail. Keeping distance seemed safer. Then she looked directly into my eyes. And she said something I will never forget. She begged me not to leave her. Not like everyone else. Not after teaching her how to feel alive again. At that moment I understood that beneath her intimidating reputation was a frightened woman carrying unimaginable loneliness. She wasn't cold. She was scared. Scared of abandonment. Scared of hope. Scared of loving people enough to lose them. I promised I wasn't planning to go anywhere. Not because I pitied her. But because she mattered. Because people deserve companions during their darkest seasons. And because healing becomes possible when someone chooses to stay. That night changed everything. Seraphine began attending office lunches. She laughed occasionally. Employees noticed. The atmosphere transformed. People stopped fearing her. Instead, they respected her honesty. She apologized to several former colleagues for being overly harsh. She started taking weekends off. She attended Solen's school performances. She planted flowers in her mother's memory. And every Friday evening, she played piano again. Sometimes I listened quietly. Sometimes Solen sang. Months later, the company hosted its first family picnic. Children played games. Parents shared meals. Employees introduced spouses and grandparents. Seraphine stood watching everyone. Sunlight illuminated her face. She looked peaceful. For once, she wasn't surviving. She was living. She walked toward me carrying 2 cups of lemonade. Then she thanked me. Not for saving her. Because no one can save another person completely. But for standing beside her while she learned to save herself. People often assume strength means never crying. Never needing help. Never admitting fear. But true strength is allowing someone to witness your broken pieces and trusting them enough not to walk away. Years later, whenever that old waltz played somewhere in the city, Seraphine no longer left the room. She danced. Sometimes with Solen. Sometimes with friends. And sometimes with me. Not because pain vanished. But because she finally understood that love does not end when people leave this world. It survives in memories. In songs. In traditions. In acts of kindness. And in the courage to keep dancing even when your heart still aches. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a comment sharing your thoughts, and share it with someone who might need a reminder that healing is possible. Don't forget to subscribe to A Journey of Hearts for more emotional stories that celebrate hope, compassion, and second chances. Special request, comment below with "I choose to stay" if you believe the people we love deserve our patience, understanding, and presence even during their hardest battles. Sometimes the loneliest people are not those who have nobody around them. They are the ones who spend years pretending they don't need anyone at all. And sometimes all it takes to change a life is a simple gesture, an outstretched hand, and the willingness to dance beside someone who has forgotten they are still worthy of happiness. Because the most beautiful hearts are often the ones that have been broken the most, yet still find the courage to beat again.